Let's go. It's week 5, you guys. World of Matchups is back in the house. Dexter Reed, Las Vegas, Nevada. On my arm over here, my man, my A1 from day one, producer and co founder of WOM. Ladies and gentlemen, say what's up to Spencer the Wiz. What is going on, bro?
Just limping into the fantasy season going into week 5. It's crazy. Injuries have been just something else this year. I mean, that's the nature of football, but wow. Like, sometimes I feel like I barely have anyone to put in my lineups anymore. I'm like, Google, just trying to figure out, like, who's on the waiver wire this week. It's like turning into the waiver wire team, it feels like.
It's been a tough year, man. Handicapping football has not been easy this year. I mean, we've been bad, and I'm okay saying that out loud. It'd be interesting to see what other people are doing, what their numbers as a whole have been through week 4, because I'm shooting at like 45%. You're at like 35% when we're normally well over 50%. So we're gonna try to do a little bit better for you guys this week and see how it turns out. Spencer, take the lead and roll off week 1. I mean, who's our first game this week?
Yeah, let's talk about the Jets and Vikings. What can you say about the Vikings at this point? It's like, I think I say this every week. You're waiting for the wheels to fall off, and it doesn't. They look like a super powered offense. This is a tough game. That Jets game was hard to call last week just because the weather. It's such a big impact. I mean, they were just, when it looked like, at least slipping and sliding everywhere. The Jets had like 50 chances, it feels, to win that game, and they just couldn't kick it through the uprights. And that was it. That was the only difference in that game. Otherwise, they would have won. I don't know. It's very hard to evaluate this Jets team now. I mean, I'm high on them, but it's just been such a Jets season. And I did talk about that too coming into the season. Like, no matter what the team situation is, it's like the Jets, man. Sometimes you just have those franchise that have stink on them, and I don't think they've fully gotten over it yet. I'm not a Saleh fan. I think that's probably my number one reservation against them. Uh, I just, nothing about him really excites me, and it doesn't seem like the players, especially Aaron Rodgers, like him all too much. So you got the Vikings at home. It kind of does feel like a trap game, though.
Well, it's in
I'm gonna
London,
pull up the
right?
lines on this. This is international game, you
This is
said?
an international series, man. This is in London for all of you guys who might be waking up wanting to watch this game. This game's going to start at 6:30 a.m. PST. So this is a neutral field site game. I hate these NFL international games, but this is what Roger Goodell wants. And so it's neutral field as far as I'm concerned, but it would be the Minnesota home game.
Yeah, I'll take the Jets just because they get plus 3.5, or plus 2.5 here.
Plus 2.5.
Yeah, maybe you buy the half point, like if you're that interested in the game. Those London games are usually really weird. They're usually very stagnant, and it almost always seems to come down to a field goal. I know it hasn't always been the case, but I don't know. I just, when these guys travel internationally, I kind of just lean towards the team with the better defense, and I don't know. I guess I just give that edge to the Jets on some level. But this is a game I would stay very far away from in terms of my money. But yeah, I mean, the Jets could win this game. It does feel like a game where everybody's like, why is that line so short? The Vikings have been unstoppable. They've beaten the best teams, and the sportsbooks this year just seem to like have a crystal ball when it comes to these games that somehow end up covering against teams that you just would never imagine it to be like that. So yeah, I guess I'll
Yeah.
take the Jets.
I'm going to take the Vikings here for a number of different reasons. Number one, this is the Sam Darnold revenge game. New York never gave Sam Darnold his fair shot. He got a raw deal in New York, and that's a fact. Number two, Robert Saleh and Aaron Rodgers, they don't like each other. They are not on the same page, man. I'm sorry. To win in this league, there has to be a cohesiveness between your front office, your GM, your HC, your OC, your DC, and your starting quarterback. And the Jets don't have any of those things, man. Let's be honest. Aaron Rodgers runs the Jets. Robert Saleh will be fired before I eat another meal. So there's all kinds of dissension personified there. They don't use Brees Hall properly. The guy's one of the best running backs in the entire NFL. You know what I mean? There's just all kinds of nonsense going on there. It wouldn't surprise me if Garrett Wilson was traded at this point. They don't use him properly at all. I mean, they don't steward what they have properly. They just don't. Combine that with what I think is a very overrated defense. I mean, they should be better. A lot better. I mean, what has Sauce done this year? Let's be honest. Some guys are just good because they have cool names. And so I'm going to take the Vikings here, man. I'm a believer in what the Vikings are putting down. I was dead wrong about them. I saw 6 wins on their schedule this year. Now, this is a classic trap game that I could totally see them blowing it. But let's be honest, man. Brian Flores has done a great job with this defense. And Aaron Rodgers is already immobile, and he's kind of banged up. Let anything happen to Aaron Rodgers in this game, and they're going to run away with this game. The running game in Minnesota has been better than advertised. Jay Jettas is the best wide receiver since Randy Moss, and a field goal wins you money. I know these international games are weird, but these guys are both dealing with the jet lag and the timeline, so there's really no home field advantage. You can't tell me on a neutral field that the Vikings aren't better than the Jets based off what you've seen this year. I'm not buying it. And as far as I'm concerned, the Jets are the most dysfunctional family in the entire National Football League. And now they're over here begging for Devontae Adams like he's going to come save them. Dude, the Jets deserve everything they get. I'm not going to believe in the Jets until they win a really good game versus a really good team and look good doing it. And I don't think it happens this week. I think the Vikings hit this number, and I think they cover with ease.
Let's jump over to the Chicago Bears and Panthers. A lot of weird games this week, actually. Just like, I don't know, matchups that are they just seem so strange on paper. And this is another one for me. I kind of feel like the Bears are trending upwards. I mean, that's just my impression, at least a little bit right now. Played a really nice game last week. So, and yeah, like when it comes to Caleb Williams, you can't freak out, right? It's not like, I'm not clamoring to say, especially during the first 2 weeks, Caleb Williams is a bust. He's terrible. He's not, he's going to fall apart. It's like this kid plays a game where he would try to do too much. I was almost like his entire MO coming out of college. And he's got to iron that out because he can't do it in the NFL. And you see when he reined it in a little bit, you started to see like what it could be, right? Like there was always going to be a bit of growing pains for him. They're at home here. Like I said, that Raiders-Panthers game, I felt like was their Super Bowl in a sense. And they played decent last week too. But I think that's the best version of the Panthers you'll ever see. Like I said, I think the team felt that everyone was blaming them for everything. It had nothing to do with Bryce Young. So when the kid got benched, I think that just put the team on another level where they felt like they needed to prove to the world that, hey, look, we got a lot of good players on our team. And they played a very desperate Bengals team. A few plays here or there could have changed, the trajectory of that game. But like I think it's going to be, I think they're burning through their, I don't know, whatever that gumption was. I feel like the reality is going to settle in a little bit more as the season goes on. They're just going to play worse and worse every week. So I do like the Bears in this game. They're part of my teaser ticket, actually, which I'll showcase at the end. I think the Bears are just really good at home this year. I just think that crowd is just so excited to see Caleb Williams play, and they've just been waiting for this moment. And this is an opportunity for them to get a nice win at home. And I could just easily, see it happening. They're -4. That's tough though, but on some level, I feel like they haven't had a signature win yet. I wouldn't count last week as a signature win, at least in my opinion. I feel like this is one of those games where they like really take control of it. It's like a 24-10 game or something like that. And Caleb Williams has 3 touchdowns. You know what I mean? I can just view that in my mind. And that's why I'm going to take the Bears in this game.
Yeah, they played well last week, man, albeit in a game where, the Rams were minus both their starting wide receivers, but we both took the Rams. I thought the Rams were a great bet last week, and they won the game. And so this is their first win where like the other team didn't hand it to them. So I have to take my hat off to the Bears, man. And I like the Bears again here. The Bears' schedule now favors them. This is where the Bears get to make their hay because the Carolina Panthers, the mojo is going to wear off now. You bench Bryce Young, you get your Super Bowl versus the Raiders, and now you get blasted at home versus the Bengals, and now you have to go on the road versus a team whose defense is very, very good. The strength of that defense are their cover corners. Jalen Johnson is fantastic. I mean, who do they have, man? Adam Thielen is out. Deontay Johnson's going to get locked down, and now you just have Xavier Legette and some rookies. I see this being a resounding Bears W. It's going to be a big time crowd. They're happy to see their starting quarterback. The stadium's going to be full. Panthers fans aren't traveling like that. You know what I mean? Defensive scoop and score, strip sack, pick six. One of those is happening. I'd be willing to put money on something like that happening. The Bears D is going to dial up the pressure on Andy Dalton. They're going to bring the heat. I think 4 is just about right, and I think they cover this game by more than that. I mean, if they can beat a Matt Stafford-led team with Kyron Williams, and they could beat them to the tune of 6 points, almost 7 points. Why can't they do the same thing to Andy Dalton and the Carolina Panthers? Panthers are not good, folks. They've got pieces waiting in the wings once they're fully healthy. They're going to have to decide what they want to do with Bryce Young and then move on. But this is a 3-4 win team at best, and this is not going to be one of the places they get that W. If the Chicago Bears and all the pomp and circumstance and hype of the preseason with them and what everyone thinks that they were going to do, Nick Wright has this team going to the Super Bowl. This is an absolute game that they cannot lose under any circumstances. And not only that, they have to cover the 4. And this is one of my best bets this week. If they blow this, man, I think they're fool's gold. So I'm going to take Caleb. I'm going to take him to have a much, much better game. The line needs to just leave Komet in, let these guys chip, block, give him some help. You saw what happened when they got Swift going. Let's do that again. Do not abandon the run. Now you're going to start to mix in Keenan Allen, who should be finally healthy, and they should destroy this team. This is my best bet. I'm going to go on record and say it. I can't see the Bears not covering 4. This is a bad Carolina team.
Let's jump over to a division rivalry game. It is the Ravens going to the Bengals. This is obviously a very important game for both teams. I feel like I need to start going with my gut a little bit more and not I guess how I think it's going to happen. I don't know. I feel like I have to completely change my philosophy and how I call these games. This is a game that if Lamar Jackson was as good as people say he is, he would be able to fight through the narrative that the Bengals are a desperate team and they need this game. Right, because if Lamar Jackson is as advertised and people say he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league or top 3, he would just come into Cincinnati and win this game. But I don't know. I just am not the biggest Lamar Jackson fan. I know he's one of the best athletes in the NFL, and sometimes he just does things that look unbelievable. And they had a great game last week. I really thought the Bills were going to win that game.
I told you, bro.
Yeah, a couple of bad plays from the Bills. They had a chance in that game. I hate it when teams have these great drives and then they pull out the trick plays. It's like you're clicking on all cylinders and now you want to throw in these chaotic variables. It's such nonsense, man. That is one of the things in the NFL that I just cannot stand to watch. The Bills had that drive going and then suddenly it's this terrible reversal. It ends in a Josh Allen fumble. They had unstoppable momentum, but in any case, again, a very good win for them. But this is just a game where I feel like Lamar Jackson has a bad pick, and it just lets the Bengals get back into this game. The Bengals got their make you feel better win last week against the Panthers, which obviously saved their season in a sense. And this is the next step, and if they are at all serious, which it's hard to believe they are, but they did look crisp last week. Their defense is terrible, the Bengals. My goodness. Definitely just one of the worst defenses it almost looks like in the NFL right now. Every week, it just looks easy. The Panthers were right there. They were knocking on the door. They had a 4th down stop at the goal line. That was one of the biggest differences. And even though I say that, I think the Bengals find a way to win this game. I feel like the Ravens just do a boneheaded move, either an interception or a fumble. That just seems to be what they do. And this team looks exactly like that this year. There's nothing about them when I'm watching them. I'm like, man, these guys look like they're ready to make that Super Bowl push. They look like they've taken a step back. And I know Derrick Henry is really good, but I feel like if the game script doesn't go their way, he's just gone. He's not the guy who's going to line up in this shotgun and, make a big play receiving wise. He looks like a break out there when they do that. And those games when they're behind, he doesn't really do anything. Maybe it gets the ball in the red zone, We'll see. We'll see how the game script goes, but I think the Bengals are going to come out firing. Like I feel like they're going to take like maybe a 10-point lead to start this game, and we'll see how they respond. And I just don't like it. I normally would take the Ravens here, but I don't know. Being that my record is what it is this year, I feel like I need to start just thinking about how I do these games differently because I would have taken the Ravens normally. Something just tells me the Bengals at home are going to win this game, and the Ravens are going to have a big letdown, and their season is going to continue to be a little tumultuous.
I agree. I agree. Something is telling me to stay away from this Ravens team here after a humongous win on Monday night. I loved them Monday night, and they dismantled the Bills. And it just kind of goes to show you that, like, the Ravens still have it in them. That hasn't gone away. It's how it's being stewarded is the problem. You know what I mean? Because you bring in some new pieces and you're not really functioning on all levels with them, i.e., running out of shotgun with Derrick Henry, things like that. It just doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? But that's a big win. That's a big win on Monday night, and now you have to turn around and you have to go to a place where you've had a lot of success. I just looked up his numbers, Lamar Jackson's numbers versus the Bengals. He owns the Bengals, 7-2 all time. I mean, he owns Joe, but he owns the Bengals, right? This is a game that everyone's going to think it's only 2.5. Field goal wins it. Justin Tucker for 60, right? I don't think so. I don't think so. There's desperate teams, and then there's desperate teams with talent. The Bengals are a desperate team with a lot of talent, man. A lot of talent, and they are home. And every year when the Bengals do this and they start off super slow, 1-3, 0-4, they're 1-11 under Zach Taylor in September, they always turn it around. They win like 9 out of 10 or 11 out of 13, something like that. And then all of a sudden, they're there at the end. That's what happens with the Bengals, and I think that's what's going to happen this week, man. They have to just find a way to slow Lamar down. Guys, the key to beating the Ravens is to slow Lamar down. It is not to stop Derrick Henry. It is not, it's never been to slow the running backs down. It's to force Lamar into making decisions that cost him the game, which is how you beat the Ravens. This is how Kansas City beats the Ravens. You get the guy to throw in a triple coverage. You get that strip sack. That's what you do. You have to cut off the head of Medusa to kill her. And when people understand doing that and selling out to do that, that's how you win. And I think that's what the Bengals are going to do. I don't think stacking the box is necessarily the answer. I mean, yes, you have to slow Derrick Henry down because they're not a throwing team. But let the Bengals get up 7 to 10 points in this game. Guys, the game is over. Game is over. The Bengals win pretty when they play from ahead. So if they score Derrick Henry first, series 7-0, you're in trouble. But something tells me that T. Higgins is going to start to emerge here. He's in a walk here, guys. This guy wants his money. He wants his money. They have good players. Gesicki, the rookie all, they're not bad. You already know about Jamar Chase. And then the two-headed monster of Brown and Moss do just enough. And even if they lose this game, I don't think they're going to lose it by more than 2.5 points. Home dogs pay dividends. Normally, I would say run with the Ravens here, and that's what everyone is going to do, man. Everyone after that. Dude, people are such prisoners of the moment. You know what I mean? Monday was days ago, and styles make fights. And Joe Burrow's no scrub, guys. He's no scrub. I don't think he's overrated. I think his team is overrated, and I don't think he's a leader, but he's a good player. If Joe Burrow could lead like Patrick Mahomes, that team would be 4-0. And no one can talk me off that. Give me those Bengals. Who day all day plus 2.5 is the play.
Yeah, this next game is the probably like one of the best games of the week. It's weird that it's in the morning. It's the Buffalo Bills and the Houston Texans. I guess the one thing you have to say about the Texans is you're not nervous about them, but it hasn't exactly been. Then they're 3-1, so what can you really say? I suppose, but they don't really look like the team of last year. On some level, there's like something a little off about them. The Bills took a loss last week. I thought maybe they would really emerge as Super Bowl contenders, and yeah, obviously that didn't work out. The Texans are at home, and it feels like they should just go ahead and win this game. this is a game I would almost always take the Texans on. Just -1. It's you're basically just say who's going to win this game. Man, I don't know. I feel like it's just you just take the Texans and you're like, you know what? The Bills fall to 3-2. The Texans kind of roll along. I'm gonna take the Bills. I just think that the Texans just don't look as good as they did last year. Every year you get a tape on somebody, gets a little bit tighter. When someone has an eccentric rookie season, you can go back to Deshaun Watson on some level.
Mm-hmm.
The guy looked like Joe Montana in his first year, and CJ Stroud has not been terrible this year by any stretch of the imagination. The game's just getting a little bit tighter, and I think the Bills they should be upset about themselves for the way they performed last week, because I really do think that there were points in that game where they could have done something to get that game way, way, way closer than it was. So I feel like they should have this mentality that they left something on the table, and I feel like everyone and their mother is going to be on the Texans this week. So that's why I feel like I'm going to go a little bit opposite, and I think the Bills can win this game in an away game. I really like the Bills. I think they've built their team very smart. And I guess the most important factor for them this year, other than the committee wide receiver situation basically working out for them, Von Miller's played well. I mean, they paid this guy $1 gazillion and he did nothing for them so
He's
far.
on the shelf, though.
Year, he's not playing this week.
He got suspended.
Did he really?
Yeah, you didn't see that.
I didn't even know.
4 games, conduct detrimental to the NFL, behavioral policy. I think it had to do something. Rumor. The World of Matchups chat. There's a lot of shout out to the World of Matchups chat, man. That's the greatest fantasy football league ever. By the way, shout out to my dogs. But we get a lot of information flowing through there. It sounds like it's something to do with him pushing somebody into an abortion, maybe. I don't know. Don't hold me to that, guys. You know what I mean? But something happened, and now, the chickens are coming home to roost. So he's out.
Well, in any case, I guess that is a big loss. They still have a very good defensive line. I'm still going to take the Bills here.
Yeah.
Something just tells me that they find a way to do this, and the Texans, a little crack starts to show on the team. A little bit of a test early in the early part of the season for a team that everyone kind of thought would just continue to roll along from last year.
Yep, I agree, man. I absolutely agree. And this game's going to be a shootout. Because the Bills' defense is not that good, and the Texans have been underwhelming. They've been winning, but they've been underwhelming, okay? So a couple different things going on, a couple different storylines. Let's start with the injuries first, okay? Dameon Pierce may or may not play. Joe Mixon's out again, man. That ankle is not healing properly, hardly practicing. So now you're looking at Cam Akers running the ball for you. That's a huge loss. Say what you want about Joe Mixon, but he can sustain long drives, man. And now if you can't run the ball, what's the success rate of teams that can't run the ball? I know you're at home and you'll have your fans in there, but you're running to this Bills team at the wrong time, man, because they played really poorly. I mean, they're a very good team. And I love when things come together for teams when they take shots, and they did what the Chiefs did. See, you don't need a $30 million wide receiver to win a Super Bowl. I mean, what's Tyreek Hill doing right now? You know what I mean? So get rid of Stephon Diggs. He has no long-term contract. He's on a 1-year deal. He's singing for his supper too, just like T. Higgins. Okay? And now they've replaced 3 with 1, and they've looked good doing it. Even in a loss, guys, these things happen, man. On the road, under the lights, sometimes you're going to get your doors blown off. I mean, there's only a handful of teams in the NFL that never get blown out. Kansas City is one of them. It's very, very rare. You know what I mean? So Josh Allen and company, they're going to bounce back here. Revenge game narrative for Stephon Diggs. That's number 1. Okay? Stephon Diggs is going to absolutely go crazy. He is telling CJ Stroud, boy, if you don't get me this ball in space, we're going to have a problem. Stephon Diggs is going to go absolutely scorched earth versus the Buffalo Bills because their secondary is not good, man. I mean, you have a guy who was dead on the field actually making plays. That's like the best blue chip player you have right now. Hyde, Poyer, they're gone. I mean, Teron Johnson, he is amazing, but is he going to play? He's been hurt all year. They're in big trouble there. So I see the overhitting in this game for sure. But what I also see is the reverse revenge game narrative because there was some chirping coming out and some things alluded to that Josh Allen saying basically we can win without you, Stephon Diggs. And so they're going to be trying to take it to him too in his own building, which all adds up to me as being just fireworks, man. The over is the best bet, but I like the Bills to bounce back in a big way here. Josh Allen is an MVP candidate, and coming off a loss, you have to follow that up with a win, and you have to do it in style and look good doing it. And I think based off the Texans team that I've seen this year so far, they're not as good as last year's team, and they're supposed to be head and shoulders better, and they are not. The Bills +1 is the play. Guys, that over looks juicy, man. What's that over here? It's 47.5, man. I see 28-24. You win money, take the Bills, and get some Buffalo wings.
All right, let's keep this ball rolling. We have the Colts and Jaguars. Tough game to call because you don't know the status of the quarterback. Although, oh man, isn't that funny that Joe Flacco just continues to like from the grave beat the Steelers? It's just unbelievable. I mean, I can't believe how sharp this guy looks. Like it just never stops for him. He's a pro's pro. You cannot say that about him at all. So I guess on some level, it almost doesn't matter, right? The Jaguars look like, despite not winning a football game, like they are improving on a weekly basis. And the Colts just haven't been that good this year, plain and simple. And I was never really high on them in the first place. I like their under. That was one of like the calls I made, I think, in my preseason bets. I didn't see this amazing 9-win team that everyone else did. This is hard. This is really difficult. And you know what? Again, I'm just going to have this opposite mentality as I've had for the past few weeks. I'm going to take the Jaguars here. Like I said, I have seen them, I just saw them push the Texans to the absolute brink of defeat. And their offense is good. I mean, there's no doubt about it. They have the weapons.
Score points.
And I feel like the Colts coming off of a big win against the Steelers just primes them up to lose to an 0-4 Jaguars team. They're away. Anthony Richardson's going to be limping probably to the start of this one. Jonathan Taylor's out, so that's massive. I mean, he is everything to them. I think without Jonathan Taylor, you see a very, very just crippled Colts team that doesn't function the same way. And if you got to put it all on the shoulders of Anthony Richardson, this is a Jaguars team that if they don't win this game, they're like on borderline 0-17 watch or something like that, because there's no way they're not looking at this game. I mean, their season's over in my opinion, but obviously in the locker room, they have a belief that if they can win this game, they can get some momentum going. That has to be the entire message going into it. They are -3, so I think everyone has that same mentality. Like, hey, look at the situation here. I'll take it. I feel like if they cannot win by field goal at home against an injured division rival like this, they got to just pack up and just quit the rest of the season. Like it's that bad. This is their chance to win. They have played like garbage all year. They're getting better, but playing good in certain spots of games is not enough. You actually have to win the game. This is the best opportunity they will have in the first 5 games of the season to get a victory and make themselves look like a team that can compete on Sundays.
I love the Jags here. Classic trap game. Don't be dumb, guys. 0-4 is one thing, but 0-4 at home versus a team coming in with a banged-up quarterback who may not play, a backup quarterback that's older than my dad, and your starting running back is out. I'm throwing everything I own on the Jags here because they have talent. They have talent. They have a great Super Bowl winning head coach, and they're home. And they were in that game last week. They had a chance to win the game versus the Texans. Texans have not played well this year, man. They should have lost that game to the Jags. Trevor Lawrence is really, really regressing. He knows he needs to put a good game together. Doug Peterson's fighting for his life, man. He's fighting for his job. This is the type of win that saves you. You get to come to work next week if you win here. You know what I mean? They don't change the locks on you. I think the Jags play really, really well. Etienne and Bigsby, they're both kind of banged up, but it'll be enough there. Christian Kirk is solid. The emergence of Brian Thomas Jr. They have to get Brian Thomas Jr. involved more, man. This is why you drafted this guy, and I think this is the week. Those corners in Indy are not great. And let Evan Ingram step on the field, and they're going to win this game by 10 points. I really believe that. Dude, this is better than an 0-4 team. They've just run into some bad luck. They've played poorly at times, and they've just let themselves get beat. Also, this is where you just open the playbook. I've seen some of the teams, some of the games my team has played when they were like 2-13, 2-14. Playbook's wide open, dude. We're going backyard, schoolyard football. You know what I mean? Wildcat to the pistol, to the quarterback, to the running back, in the end zone to the fourth string wide receiver for 55 yards. Like, why wouldn't you see that here? Why wouldn't you see it here? You've got nothing to lose. And a team with nothing to lose at home is a dangerous team. A fighter backed up into a corner is a dangerous fighter. Why? Because they got nothing else to do but throw haymakers. And if one of those land, give me those Jacksonville Jaguars here, man. I love them this week. I don't believe in the Colts away from home this banged up. If you were giving me 7 points, Jags roll.
All right, let's go into the Dolphins-Patriots game.
Oh God!
Wow. This this is a gross game. I guess that's maybe the number one thing you can say. This is disgusting. This is on my teaser ticket, and as crazy as it is, I took the Patriots, and I'm gonna stick with them. This is a Miami Dolphins season. Like, this is what they do every single year. They get hyped up. They got a great roster. You're like, man, this team can win the Super Bowl. And then they just fall apart.
They're horrible, bro.
It is just a yearly tradition. And that's not to say that the Patriots are a good team. I mean, I made a bet on them to be the worst team in the NFL, to have the worst record in the NFL. We will see what happens here, but I can't take the Dolphins at all. They don't look like they can get a first down.
Can't move the ball at all.
They can't string the ball. They can't string a drive together, which is unreal.
They look like the replacements on Monday night.
It's time for Drake May to come out, man. I'm so sick of this team. They're benching Lamondre Stevenson. It's like, dude,
put Drake May on the field.
What is this whole veterans mentality nonsense, dude?
Put Drake May on the field. Yeah, Gerard Mayo's over his head, bro.
I said that to start the season.
I agree.
Why is that the guy who you? It's like, I hate. It's almost like it's not a participation trophy. That's not the right word, but it's like in that same category of
DEI hire, bro.
Hey, we had a defensive-minded coach, Bill Belichick, lead us forever. We're gonna pass that baton along. A defensive-minded coach. It's like, dude, it is 2024. You got to move on. Do you want a successful franchise or not, man? It's just so stupid. I hate this old guy mentality. The Raiders try to bring it back with John Gruden. The Broncos try to do it with Sean Payton.
It's a new day.
It's time for the new era to come in, dude. You drafted what I believe to be the best quarterback in this year's draft in Drake May. This guy has learned enough, man. If you feel like he wasn't ready to start the season and he needed some time to look back, that's fine. I can even accept that. You're 1-3 now. You're playing a garbage Dolphins team. There's no better time to let this guy play some football, man, because
I agree.
Yes, they don't have the best wide receivers or anything like that. That's just, dude, he could throw 17 interceptions in the next 4 games or something. It's like, you're losing nothing. There's nothing left to salvage in this season. You're a terrible football team. This could be like a way to get him into the game. He gets a win, even if it's like 17-13. That's a positive thing for a young quarterback. It makes them believe that the team believes in him, because Jacoby Brissett, man, he's just wasting space on that team. Put him on the sideline, have him talk on the iPad with Drake May after every drive. I'm not saying there's no value in that. Jacoby Brissett has earned nothing, dude. No one owes him anything. Let's get this ball rolling. In any case, no matter what they do, this is a game that the Patriots should just win. I don't see how the Dolphins win any football games against any team right now. You have a good Patriots team defensively, I should say. Defensively, you have a good Patriots team who should be a little galvanized. This is their opportunity. There's no way they're not circling this game on the calendar as like, you know what, guys, we've played pretty bad all year outside of week 1. This is our chance to like make things right and give ourselves a little bit of confidence to win this one for head coach.
This is a game that the Patriots should absolutely destroy the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins look absolutely hopeless on Monday night. I mean, Mike McDaniels is over his head. That guy's lost, man. That guy belongs in a club bartending somewhere. I mean, he's not good. And it just goes to show you, like, when you have no plan B. Like, okay, Tua's our quarterback. These are our stars. But what happens when your quarterback gets injured? You don't have a capable backup. I mean, Tim Boyle, they just released him. I mean, Huntley is good, but the guy knows 6 plays, and he's basically running around there like on his own, trying to make it work like backyard football. Tyreek Hill, I mean, there's your 30 million. You can't even get your 30 million thousand million dollar stud in the ball. You can't. Waddle, you can't do nothing with him. Achan, he's not a ground and pound back. I mean, like, they look hopeless. They look absolutely hopeless. And that was versus a Tennessee defense, which is underrated in my mind. But now they're on the road versus a defense that's better than that, man. And I agree, Drake May should be starting. And I don't like Gerard Mayo, man. Great player. She does not belong to being that team's head coach. It's time to get with the times, folks. You have to score points in this league. You can't keep winning games 10-7. You know what I mean? Get an offensive-minded coach. Put Drake May in there. Let's draw up a couple plays this week. Draw up a couple more next week. Draw up a couple more the week after. And before you know it, you have yourself a nice little playbook. And you can see what the kid can do from week in and week out. Your defense is going to always be there. Christian Gonzalez is a solid player. They got great players. They got great players on that defense, man. They're going to hold this team down to nothing. They bench Ramondre Stevenson. Now you have his attention. You know what I mean? He's not going to put the ball on the ground anymore. Antonio Gibson is more than capable, and they'll do just enough to win. Hunter Henry on all those other scrubs. Jalen Polk. I mean, Miami is lost. They are lost, and they're going to put Tua back out there, man. They're going to get Tua killed in the name of winning. When you're not winning anything anyway, let's be honest. I mean, unless the sun is out and it's humid, the Miami Dolphins are absolutely useless. They're just useless. And you saw it on Monday night. I mean, my eyes were bleeding. I turned from that game. That guy was a joke. After the first couple series of that game, I was like, Miami has no shot at winning this game. And this is what happens. Jalen Phillips is out now. Defense is struggling. I mean, I can't see them winning another game until maybe Tua gets back. It's week 7, week 8, maybe. Bad news in Miami. Not that you guys were ever good anyway. I think you're fool's gold. You know what I mean? Your expensive car that eventually just runs out of gas, and now you're not going to go anywhere. Patriots at home, money line. Let's roll.
Let's jump over to the Browns-Commanders game. It's a bizarre game. It doesn't feel like it's a real matchup for some reason. I can't explain why. It doesn't seem like these two teams should ever play each other. Yeah. This is a game that the Commanders should just roll through. And it's straightforward. I would take the Commanders 10 out of 10 times, but this has been a very strange season. This is just the ultimate letdown game. It looks like it looks like the Washington Commanders are just like, they're ready to win 10 games, you know? I mean, Jaden Daniels has been awesome. I mean, he's just been so good. It's the perfect match. Like, the way that they have their offense set up, it's just perfect for them. It's tailor-made for them, and more teams should be doing this for their quarterbacks. You know, you don't have to get the number one offensive coordinator in the NFL. You need to find a guy who fits his play style instead of trying to force your scheme on someone else. It's very unique. I don't know how long it's going to last. I feel like it's an offense that could probably get figured out. This guy only throws to the right side. Very random, but I saw a graphic the other day. It's like 80% of his footballs go only to the right side of the field. And it's hard to figure that out in the middle of a game because it just doesn't, I don't think that clicks in your mind necessarily, but the Browns were so bad last week. And we'll talk about the Raiders in a sec. I mean, so garbage, absolute trash. Amari Cooper's supposed to have a revenge game. He's terrible. There's no way you could take the Browns, but I'm going to. I'm going to take the field goal here. I don't know if they win this game, but everybody in the world is going to be on the Commanders. And I just feel like it's that game that you circle on the calendar that busts everyone's ticket. Everyone's like, this is the free win. I'm hoping to win my other 2 games on my ticket. And for some reason, I feel like this is the game where the Browns have their best game of the season. For whatever reason, it just seems like the NFL is going that way this year. Is there a world where the Commanders just blow them out of the water because they should? Yes, but I just don't feel like games have been going that way this season. I think the Browns have to be just so mad at themselves for not beating the Raiders last week. There's no way that that game should have gone the way that it did. So with that being said, I'm going to take the Browns. That's just how I see the game rolling here. They're in Washington. I'm telling you, I bet you 90%. It's only 3 points. Like, where does that come from? How are the Commanders not touchdown favorites in this game?
Yep.
Given the way that these teams have been playing, I think that just speaks to something that the sportsbooks just always find a way to make these lines fit. Like, there's like, you think it's going to be wrong. And it's like, because of that, because the line doesn't seem right, I'm going to take the Browns.
Yeah, exactly. Why I'm taking the Browns. I mean, I smell a rat from a mile away. I mean, I told everybody last week that they had a chance to not only cover in Arizona, but to win the game. And, I mean, they destroyed a good Arizona team.
Yeah.
Now, the problem I have, while I love Jaden Daniels, is that these wins that he's racking up and these stats that he's putting up, they're against lower defenses. He hasn't played any great defenses. Browns have a good defense, man. And when you play as badly as the Browns played last week, the only where you can go is up. I mean, the Commanders' defense is atrocious, guys. They're not good. You know what I mean? Have they been playing better? A little, okay. But, like, let's not act like they're good, because they're not. They're not. And so, yes, they're home. Jaden Daniels is there. They're gassed up, fired up. This is one of those games where something weird happens. Strip sack, pick six, safety, just some random points, block, kick, fumble at the worst time, and all of a sudden field position flips and the Browns just cover. Do I think they win? I don't think they'll win because they are horrendous. But I think the Browns actually play the best game of the season tomorrow. I really do, man. Don't ask me why. 10 out of 10 times I'd take Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders to cover here, but it's too easy. Everyone, all the money in the world is going to go in on the Commanders because they're on the rise now and they could score and they look good doing it. Dude, Brian Robinson is kind of gimpy. He might not even play. To me, Austin Eckler is kind of washed. You could stack the box against Austin Eckler. I mean, who are their receiving guys outside of McLaurin? None of those guys has really emerged. Sinat doesn't play. I mean, it's just like Zach Ertz and McLaurin. Browns can hold teams down. Even in defeat, they look ugly, but what did the Raiders put up against them? It's not like they put up 50 points. Myles Garrett's still on the Browns, guys. Versus a rookie? Something tells me that the Browns are going to maybe really cover this game. Maybe even win it. It wouldn't shock me if they won it. You know, Jaden Daniels is still a rookie. Prove it to me against a better defense. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go.
Let's jump over to the Raiders-Broncos game. I don't know what to say about the Raiders anymore. I might as well just
Raiders
have a
trash.
coin next to me when we predict these games and just flip it and just see what happens.
Trash. Raiders are absolute trash.
You don't know what you're going to get out of them in any given week. That's a game that they should have lost. Everybody was on, they have a terrible game against the Panthers at home. Okay, here we go. They play the Browns. They're going to lose. And then they win it without Devontae Adams, without Max Crosby. So the Raiders have beaten the Broncos 8 times in a row, and they're in Denver. The Broncos are obviously favored in this game. Max Crosby's back. I'm going to take the Raiders, man. I think Bo Nix just has a stinker at home. I mean, I say this, and the Broncos win by 20, of course, and then the Raiders will play the Chiefs, and they'll beat them by a field goal. That's just how the Raiders season goes. But I don't know. I just don't like the Broncos. They shouldn't have won that game last week. They should be 1-3 easily, very easily. And I hope that the team, I feel like they're going to get galvanized because of this Devontae Adams stuff, man. I can't wait for him to be off my team. This guy will look at anyone but himself. Pointing finger. The team's 2-2. I mean, I know it hasn't been great, but at the end of the day, you win a game, you win a game. This is a 2-2 football team. that fought really hard last year, that was 8-9 after firing their coach midseason. You end the season strong. You're staying afloat this year. You have a chance of upward mobility. The rest of the division stinks. You can get some wins off of the division. I mean, he played terrible in that Panthers game. And I do think when AP was talking about business decisions, I think he was talking about Davante Adams. This is a guy who he was awful. And now suddenly he has a hamstring injury. He's going on TV shows. He's doing Instagram posts. Like, dude, F you. Like, seriously, if you're not here to be a part of the NFL season for the Las Vegas Raiders, then go. And I think the team has that mentality. I'm so sick of these wide receivers, man. Sick of guys going on podcasts on a weekly basis, TV shows. It's like, dude, you can be a celebrity after you retire. I mean, this is a Raiders team that's really trying to improve, and they're fighting hard. The Panthers game isn't a great example, but that was an ugly win last week. But that's because I think they won that game because of AP. That's a game they lose every single time with a coach like Josh McDaniels, and they just flame out. They found a way to make it happen. Backups made a way to just make plays at the right time. Tyree Wilson had the best game of his career last week. And I feel like their offense is starting to click, man. I can't wait to see what this team does this week. It could be terrible for them. It could be a disaster, in typical Raiders fashion. But something just tells me that I think that they're like done with Davante Adams. And I think the team, it's like almost a sigh of relief. Everyone's waiting on bated breath every week for the 2 years now to see what happens to this guy. And now that it's over, essentially, and it feels over, I think that Robert Spillane said it best. I just saw in interviews, like, the guys who are here, we want to win for this team. We want to play hard for this team. And we show up to work every day with the mentality that we're going to win this game. Jacoby Myers could be a great wide receiver one. He's been waiting and wait. He had a great season last year. And without that like pressure to like always find your first wide receiver, they have great weapons outside of him. They have Brock Bowers. They have Jacoby Myers. They have Trey Tucker. All these guys can play. You have Alexander Madison, who's playing great this season. You're not having Zamir White fumble the ball every week. He's out this week. These are things that I think are trending in the right direction for this team. And if they get this win, this is a momentum building like win. You get a division rival. You beat them 9 times in a row. You found a way to win last week in a game you probably should have lost. I'm not saying the Raiders are going to go and rip off a bunch of wins, but I think they're back on track for a 9-10 win season if they can win this game. But we'll see what Raiders team shows up. You just never know with this team.
This Raiders team is garbage, bro. And the coach is over his head. And the Davante Adams situation is just the cherry on top. Davante Adams should be traded before Monday. Everyone's going to watch what's going to happen tomorrow, and then they're going to make appropriate decisions. But when you beat a team 9 times in a row, I mean, ask the Kansas City Chiefs what happened when they went to Denver after beating them 15 times in a row. I mean, I know Patrick Mahomes was sick that day, but it didn't seem to matter. He could have been 100% healthy. The Chiefs got skinned. That's exactly what's going to happen tomorrow. The Broncos are brimming with confidence. They're 2-2 when they could easily be 0-4. What I really like about Bo Nix is that he's not scared to use his legs, and they're gonna go right at the Raiders here. They've had enough, and they're gonna punch hard. The difference between what's happened in the past and what's happening now is that I think that the Denver defense is just so much better, and you have a limping in backup-led quarterback, backup running back-led running game, backup-led wide receiver core, and your defense has been making business decisions. I think the Broncos absolutely destroy the Raiders tomorrow. I do. Patrick Surtain on guys like Trent Tucker and Jacoby Myers is laughable. It's laughable, bro. It really is. Now, if the Raiders have to have any kind of promise in this game, Brock Bowers is going to have to be the feature guy because he's the mismatch. He's the only true mismatch on the field. Guy's unguardable, and he hasn't done much in a couple of weeks, so it's time for him to wake up. But I don't trust Gardner Minshew anywhere. I don't trust AOC anywhere, and this is not the spot I trust him in either. Broncos laying 3 points to anyone is also kind of laughable, but they're home, man. And they're on a 2-game winning streak, so they're feeling the same way about their team as you're feeling about your team. So when that happens, give me the home team, give me the points, give me the thin mile high air, and give me the Broncos defense to run away with this thing. I see an ugly day happening for Vegas tomorrow. Next.
that sets up the Raiders have a big win next week. That's just how they play, and then they'll lose the worst game you've ever seen the week after. All right, let's go to the Cardinals 49ers. This is a big line, I believe. I was looking at it and I was kind of shocked. The Cardinals had a big, I'm not going to say it's necessarily a letdown against the Commanders last week, because the Commanders are playing some pretty darn good football, but they should have been in that game way, 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 way more than they should. So it's almost hard to evaluate this team now. And you have it's a touchdown. It's a touchdown game. Okay. Ah, God. This feels like a game the 49ers should blow them out. You know, their team is coming back healthy. This is a game I would take the 49ers in every week. So I'm just going to continue this mentality of I'm going to try to switch up my entire thought process. And I'm going to take the Cardinals. I feel like they have a bounce back week. Do they win? Maybe not. Although this does feel like the week where the Cardinals just win a game. I mean, the 49ers haven't looked great this year. I haven't seen them have you have the week 1 victory against the Jets. The Jets haven't even looked that good this year. The Cardinals were awful last week. So bad. I mean, just the worst you've ever seen, but they seem to play really hard against these division teams, man. These division rivalry games are so hard to take a division rival off a touchdown. You know, it's like, how can you really take the 49ers in this game? Maybe you get a push at the end of the day, but yeah, I mean, I guess that's just a gut feeling. That's really the best way I can put it. I don't think there's any strong reason you can take one or the other. It's just kind of like what you feel like is going to happen in your heart of hearts. And I feel like the Cardinals find a way to cover a touchdown. That is a lot of points in this kind of game.
Yeah, and that's what the odds makers want you to think. That's what they want you to think. Got blown out at home, division game, 7 points. We can cover that. Bounce back week. Trey McBride is back. You know what I mean? We'll be okay. Blah blah blah. Defense didn't play that well. We'll get up for the Niners. Niners are gonna murder this team. They are, man. Niners are on a roll now. What happened last week versus the Patriots is exactly what they needed to get their swagger back, to get their mojo going. I'm like, we're the Niners, bro. We shouldn't be struggling. And that's what happened. Brock Purdy played a very good game. Kittle is back. Jordan Mason is holding it down. And the Niners defense is going to go after Kyler Murray in this game, man. That's the key. The Niners defense, man. They are really, really good. And I'm worried about MHJ. You know what I mean? This is a big spot. As a rookie, can they really get him the ball in space and have him blow up? I mean, we'll see. Niners have some of the best defensive players in the entire National Football League. Best middle linebacker, one of the best defensive ends. I mean, they're going to play really, really hard. Touchdowns not that much here, man. I mean, Kyler Murray on the road is very, very good versus bad teams, but Niners could go back to the Super Bowl here. And the odds makers want you to think that it's going to be close. I think they beat this team this week the same way they beat the Patriots last week. I think they're just waiting to get all their stars aligned again. Debo back on the field. And guys, at some point, right, Brandon Ayuk has to earn $30 million. At some point. I think it starts this week, personally. This can't continue. You know what I mean? Buda Baker can't be everywhere. You understand what I'm saying? And so while I would normally take the 7, I'm doing kind of what you're doing. And I'm like, nah, man, they're going to lay the wood to this team because they can. Because they can. The Niners know that everyone is looking at them as not so much of an afterthought, but they're not in that group of like, yep, they're in the playoffs. Yep, they're going back to the Super Bowl. We're not there yet, man. CMC may not be playing this year. You know what I mean? And I'm taking Shanahan 10 out of 10 times versus this other coach. 10 out of 10 times. Shanahan is one of the best coaches in the league at home. Touchdown might push it, but I'm willing to lay the 7.
Yeah, let's go to the Rams-Packers game. This is another kind of weird game, but I'm going to take the Packers. I feel like they have a lot of upward momentum right now, and Jordan Love, dude, it comes out like firing on all cylinders. Kind of unbelievable, actually. I know they are away, and that's tough, right? The Green Bay at home with Jordan Love is like so good. And the Rams, like, played awful last week. I mean, I don't know. It's so hard to you can't evaluate them because they don't have anybody. They're just piecing it together. Their wide receiving core is so bad. I think the Packers just win by default because the Rams just don't have enough players to field, like talented players, I should say. Their backup wide receivers are no good. I mean, they are just like,
That's what
hey,
everybody said when they played the 49ers. And how'd that end up?
sometimes there's weird juju in a game. I feel like you saw like the reality of the situation last week for the Rams, at least.
Maybe.
Sometimes NFL games go like that. You know, like, are you really like you have Jair Alexander and their best wide receiver is Tutu Atwell? I mean, I feel like the strength of the Packers is the secondary. So, like, when you piece those, like the 49ers, if there is a weakness on their team, is they have no one at the cornerback position. They've struggled for that for years now. And ultimately, I feel like it's what's lost them those Super Bowls. And the Rams defense does nothing for me. I don't think they have a lot of depth. I don't really you can't really even point to too many people on their defense and say, like, man, those are like some of their signature guys. So when I think about that, and it's only a field goal game, I think the Packers have a great chance to win this one. I feel like it would be very disappointing for them coming off of a playoff win last year to then lose to an injured Rams team at home.
Yep. But Jordan Love's still not healthy. At least not 100%. Romeo Doubs skipped practice yesterday, scrubbed his social media of everything Packers. Christian Watson's got a high ankle sprain. So this has to be Dontavian Wicks and Jalen Reed. So I'd rather take on 2 guys than 4 guys. Tucker Kraft, okay, I'll give him that. Josh Jacobs has not lit the world on fire this year at all, man. And this is what I know. Sean McVay finds a way. Sean McVay finds a way. This is what I know. Kyron Williams is very, very good. You haven't seen Blake Corum at all, man. Don't be surprised to see Blake Corum get on the field in this game. It's all hands on deck. We're just trying to stay alive until we can get Puka and Cooper Kupp back. Whittington is better than people think. Atwell sucks to me. He's just a throw it up and he's down there type of guy. Demarcus Robinson's okay, but you don't like the Rams defense. The Rams defense is better than advertised. When you lose Aaron Donald, you're supposed to stink. Stink! Okay? And I know they played poorly last week, but believe me when I tell you they have it in them. The one win they have, to me, was the best win of the season in the entire NFL. There's no way they should have beaten the 49ers in that game. And they not only did it, they did it in style. And where they do it, they did it in their building. I'm willing to take those 3 points, man. I'm not really a big-time believer in the Packers. And this is another one of those games where everyone's just like, they're going to destroy the Rams. They're going to kill the Rams. It's only 3. I just don't see it, man. I smell something fishy about this game. I'd probably just stay away from this game altogether. But anytime everyone, the betting public, everyone is on something heavy, I try to find a reason to go against it. Stafford's a G. They're home. Kyron Williams hasn't had a huge blow-up game yet. And Sean McVay. Give me those 3 points at home. I'll take a shot with the Rams.
Let's jump over to the Seahawks game. The Seahawks are a touchdown favorite. And I also feel like this is kind of a line where they're like baiting you to take the Seahawks. I'll take the bait, man. The Giants don't have Devin Singletary. If the Giants cover this touchdown, the NFL is rigged. Like it almost like feels that way, right? No Malik Neighbors, no Devin. Dude, this should be a 10-point spread.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like they're almost telling you, like, hey, look, we made the wrong line. Take the Seahawks. I'm going to take it. I can't in good faith not take a touchdown. The Seahawks offense looks like it is just. First of all, shout out to Kenneth Walker for saving my fantasy football season by himself, by the way. That guy is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, one of the best single player performances I've seen in a long, long time. I mean, he just went absolutely bananas in that game. They couldn't stop him. I mean, he was lining up a wide receiver at one point. I mean, they just have utmost confidence. And that tells you because they have amazing weapons elsewhere. But they're like, this guy is so good. We're going to feature him in any possible conceivable scenario. The Seahawks are at home. This is my best bet. I'm sorry. I'm glad. I will never make another bet in my life if this doesn't hit. I swear if the Giants find a way to cover this, dude, I'm calling Roger Goodell, man, because this is just nonsense. How are the Giants +7 in an away game after their two best offensive weapons are not going to be playing? That makes absolutely no sense in the slightest bit. I need someone to try to convince me otherwise, but the Seahawks are my best bet. It's easy for me to say 7 points shouldn't be nearly enough.
I don't feel as strongly about it as you do. A couple seasons ago, I don't know if it's 1 or 2 seasons ago, I was in a knockout pool, suicide pool. It was like week 16. And it was something similar to this, and the Giants flew to Seattle, and the Giants won the game. They won the game like 15-12. It was very similar. Everyone was hurt. I was just like, I cannot even believe this is happening right now. Like, and Seattle was strong, healthy. Football is just like that sometimes, man. I do think that Seattle is one of the better teams in the National Football League. I think they could have won on Monday. Lions are strong, man. Lions are really good at home. But Geno Smith and the Seattle Seahawks are a very, very good team. They're with a very, very good run game. Ryan Grubb has opened up this passing attack. I think that they should demolish the Giants. Minus Malik Neighbors, minus Devin Singletary. Tyrone Tracy doesn't scare me. He's a rookie. Daniel Jones has been horrible. He hasn't been running. You know what I mean? Brian Dable is coaching for his life. They're just outmatched here. Flying 3,000 miles across the country versus a team that is really, really good in their building. Guys, if you're scared, this is the one that I'm going to say tease it or just go money line. It's not going to pay, but if you just need to be right, Seattle losing to the Giants here would demand that building be exploded. It really would.
They have to demolish the entire stadium.
You would have to demolish. You would have to blow up the stadium. I just cannot see it. I just can't see it, man. I really can't. I think the Seahawk defense is going to go after Daniel Jones. I think they are going to murder this team. I see like a 31-13 final, and I don't think it'll be particularly close.
Let's go to the Cowboys-Steelers game.
Sunday Night Football.
And I don't know. Justin Fields has been okay. I guess he's been a little bit better than I thought, but they just won't open the playbook to him, man. I think he's got like 6 plays at his disposal. And it's just like they just find a way to crack through at like certain moments, but it's just like, and I know they're a run first team, so it's like almost hard to say that, but it's just like when you look at their passing plays, it's like 2 slants, like a little go route on the sideline. There's nothing complicated about what they're doing. It works for them because their defense is so good, but it's like they haven't really given him an opportunity to be himself on some level. They're playing at home. You got a Steelers team that's -2.5. Oh man, this is hard to call. You saw some cracks in the Steelers defense last week. I mean, I know it's Joe
They didn't
Flacco.
play well. They didn't play well.
And maybe he knows the team like the back of his hand or something like that if you want to roll there. CeeDee Lamb should have a big game. I mean, if there is a weakness on the I'll say like Joey Porter has struggled at certain points this season. Minkah Fitzpatrick hasn't looked like the same Minkah Fitzpatrick that we're used to.
He's old.
I feel like it's just easy to take the Steelers here. It's just like everyone is going to have this mentality that their defense is so good. The Cowboys are a little anemic, but it does feel like they're picking it up on offense. Mm-hmm. Like I get that feeling from them. They're finally starting to sit that old man Ezekiel Elliott on the bench and bring in Dowell, who I think is pretty good. And you saw he had a nice touchdown last week. Give this guy the ball, man. What are you trying to spread? They should have never brought back Ezekiel Elliott, dude. He runs like he's got cement on his feet. Give the ball to a guy who looks like he can actually do something with it. Exactly. Ferguson is back and healthy now. That's huge for them. They needed all to be there for it to work. So like when Ferguson is down, it doesn't work. But now everyone is there. And when I see it like that, I feel like the Cowboys can have a signature win, man. I don't feel like the Steelers are world beaters. They win ugly games. And when you have this team that just tries to win ugly, you can't just win every game. You're going to lose ugly games, and they lost an ugly game last week to a Colts team that had Joe Flacco. I feel like they're two teams trending in different directions, and I feel like that AFC North is just it's almost like destiny that it's going to be a tight race at the top. Like I don't feel like the Steelers can suddenly start running away with it. It wouldn't shock me to see the Steelers just win a nice defensive game. It's 17-14 or 17-12, It feels like what the final score is going to be, but I'm going to go off a hunch and say that the Cowboys are going to start playing better football than what they've done so far. And last week I think was a good taste of what you could actually see out of the Cowboys offense when it's working.
I don't think so. I don't think so at all. No Micah Parsons. They just lost another guy who their wide receiver has been there forever. Brandon Cooks, knees, the size of a balloon. His knee looks like an eggplant. I think the Cowboys are the most overrated team in the NFL. I really do. And you lose your leader on defense, and that's a problem. Now, I know Justin Fields has not set the world on fire, but Justin Fields is 3-1, and Justin Fields has talent. And yes, are they coming along really slowly? Yes. Are they unwilling to just name him the starter because Russell Wilson is kind of practicing? I think it's absolutely ridiculous what Mike Tomlin is doing. Justin Fields is a quarterback. That's the quarterback that the locker room wants. That's the quarterback that should be starting. Russell Wilson is washed. His days in the NFL as a starting quarterback are over. When we stop playing with that is when you will really see things start to open up for the Pittsburgh Steelers. If you're constantly looking over your shoulder, you can't perform the way you need to. Name the guy, the starter. Number one. Number two, Najee Harris cannot be this bad all season. He's the epitome of a mid running back. And the Dallas defense is hurt, man. They're not good at stopping the run. And they're gonna run the ball. They're gonna run the ball. I mean, you're gonna even see old man Cordarrelle Patterson out there. They've only had one home game, guys. And now they are under the lights. The Steelers, under the lights for the world to see, play really well. They always do. And I think this might be a game where people are questioning, like, let's say the Bears lose tomorrow ugly and the Steelers win pretty. All of a sudden, people are like, man, did we make the right move here? Justin Fields is good, man. Bears fans think he sucks. I think he was never given the tools he needed around him. He's got better tools in Pittsburgh, and you really haven't seen them unleashed yet, man. Get George Pickens involved. You're starting to see it a little bit more. Guys, they're putting up numbers, but they're not scoring touchdowns. Once they start scoring touchdowns, I mean, does anyone here think for a second that the Pittsburgh Steelers are not making the playoffs? Because they are. Because they do. Is it ugly? Yes. But ugly wins are wins. They're wins. And I think that's what you're going to see on Sunday Night Football. Field goal wins you money, guys. Boswell is money. Terrible towels. The whole 9 yards, man. Let anything happen to CeeDee Lamb, and this team might get blown out. They've got nothing behind him. Jalen Tolbert, you're worrying about. Guys play harder under the lights, man. And Pittsburgh is better than you think coming off a really bad performance. TJ Watt's going to be all over Dak Prescott. All over Dak Prescott. I love the Steelers here because a field goal wins you money. Give me the Steelers and those terrible towels, -2.5.
Monday Night Football. It is the Chiefs at home against the Saints. Chiefs haven't played good all season, plain and simple.
At all.
Not for 1 week. I know they're undefeated, and that's just what good teams do, obviously. They just find ways to win football games. I'm going to take him at home. Derek Carr's terrible. He just stinks.
You're crazy, bro.
I think this is the best game of the season for the Chiefs. I could see the Saints getting blown out. I don't know what the line is in this game.
5.5.
That's fine. I feel like they're baiting you to take the Saints because the Chiefs haven't played good all year. And I could see Derek Carr throwing 2 picks. He never, ever, ever played well. I mean, he had one good game against the Chiefs in a year where they won, I think, 2 or 4 games or something. It's just something garbage like that. He's gonna see ghosts, man. This is just he won't play the full season. One of my favorite bets was Derek Carr under touchdowns, simply because I think he's going to get benched at some point. They're 2-2. He's lost them 2 games now this season, like pretty much personally. In one game, he like literally did against the Eagles. He had 2 opportunities to end that game, one to like literally end the game, and one just to get a field goal. And they had plenty of time, and he just throws a garbage interception. That's just what he does. I don't think he's going to have his signature win just because it's against an old division rival. They're going to hype it up like that. That's what the previews are going to say. I'm off on the Saints, man. I mean, unless they're playing at home, I'm sorry. Like, I don't have any confidence that they're going to find a way to piece it together. And the Chiefs just haven't played a game all year where you're like, that's a signature Chiefs win. They're due for one. And I think this is the perfect spot for them to do it.
Yep. Normally, I would agree with you, especially as a fan of this team that bleeds red and gold. I mean, I will be buried in a Patrick Mahomes jersey. I mean, you know this. There is no bigger Kansas City Chiefs fan than me. I've watched every single Chiefs game, literally, probably for like the last 12 years, every single one. And I've dissected every single Chiefs game for at least the last 10 years, where I watch it and then watch it again and then break it down and look at least 10 years. I spent a large chunk of time doing this. It dominates most of my life outside of my wife and Jesus. So, that being said, I just have not seen what I needed to see from this team this year. I just haven't. You know what I mean? I just haven't. And I was at opening day, and they were lucky to win that game. And if Jamar Chase didn't have rocks in his head, they would have lost that game too. And they kind of just hemmed and hawed last week and put the ball on the ground again. And, I mean, at the end, they took the game over thanks to Kareem Hunt coming off the shelf from another team, and they pushed that game. I mean, they just don't look good. Now, Rice is out. No Pacheco. They can double Kelsey, and then you're looking at a bunch of plumbers to win you the game. Patrick Mahomes has not played well. I'm sorry. I'm not one of these Homer fans, man. You know what I mean? Like, if someone farts in an elevator, I'm going to be like, dude, who farted? So, because Patrick Mahomes is a football god, he's not above criticism. He has thrown a pick in every single game they've played this year. He's the number one reason why Ray Rice is hurt right now. Patrick Mahomes.
He knocked him out, man.
He has looked horrendous. This is the worst start Patrick Mahomes has ever had. This is the worst stretch of football he has ever played. Ever. And he's doing it with an aging Kelsey, who I know they got him involved last week, but I'm not sold. I'm not sold that Juju Smith-Schuster is going to be the guy with Kareem Hunt, who also has a shoulder injury, rookie Carson Steele, who cannot stop fumbling, CEH, who has zero vision, PTSD, and a syndrome where he can't stop throwing up and may not even get on the field, practice squad Jody Fortson, who just got signed. I'm just not buying it. Will they win off Harrison Butker's 6 field goals? Yes, but 5.5 to a Saints defense is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Here comes Tyrann Mathieu homecoming. Here comes Kalen Saunders homecoming. Here comes Willie Gay homecoming. You don't tell me those guys are going to want to win this game? The Chiefs laying points to anyone right now, anywhere, is ridiculous how banged up they are. They are beyond injured. Now, if anyone can get a win out of them, it will be Andy Reid. But guys, we need to stop acting like this is going to be pretty. I saw them struggle versus a guy on one leg last week. I mean, it's bad. It's bad. Guys, it's the same Kansas City Chiefs team that we saw last year that everyone just thinks they're going to get to the playoffs and they're going to get healthy and they're going to push that button and here comes Thanos. And that might be the truth. But right now, what I see as a fan is a team that I wouldn't bet a nickel on. That's what I see. And so until I see otherwise, the 4-0 Chiefs that could easily, they're a fresh gust of wind blown of being 0-4, I cannot bet on them anywhere. And I know it's Arrowhead, and I know it's Arrowhead under the lights, and am I going to be rooting for them like crazy? Absolutely. I think your best bet here, guys, is just Chiefs money line. I don't think they're going to lose the game, but I think they're going to have to kick a million field goals to win it. I see a Harrison Butker field goal at the end to win it. The Chiefs defense is going to have to play very, very hard. The Saints defense, they're going to play very, very hard. What's the over-under for this game? Because whatever the under is, I think it's
33 and
absolute
a
gold.
half.
Absolute gold, bro. The Chiefs can't score. They scored 17 points last week. They could barely break 20 points. They cannot score. And you cannot win bets expecting defenses to score points. If it happens, great. Could it happen? Yes. Derek Carr's horrendous. Horrendous. But let's stop acting like the Saints don't have weapons, man. 2 weeks into the season, everybody was anointing the Saints going to the playoffs. Derek Carr has had good games at Arrowhead versus Kansas City. Yes, is he 2-10? Yes, but he has had good games. I can think of a signature Raider win where he went bananas. He went bananas, and Derek Carr stinks. He stinks. So it would not surprise me. 5.5 is too much. I'm sorry. This is a homecoming for guys with rings. Give me the Saints plus 5.5. And guys, I hope I'm wrong. I hope the Chiefs win 34-7. But I'm coming from an analytical, tactical, I watch this Chiefs team play every week point of view, and I just don't see them laying 5.5 and winning at home versus anybody. They are fraudulent right now, man. They're ripe for the picking. If Patrick Mahomes doesn't start playing better, this team is in big trouble because they have all their stars out. Take the Saints. I'm taking the Saints with confidence here too, man. Like I said, I'm not a homer. I like money. You know what I mean? You bet with emotions, you lose money. Parting shots.
Here's my I actually had a terrible week last week, but I did win my best bet, my little teaser ticket. So somehow I found a way to make it happen.
Nice.
So I picked the right ones apparently. I did need the tease though. I did need the tease, but that's why I like 3-team teasers. I like the Bears. We've talked about that game, and maybe I should have bought an extra point, maybe, and even for that Raiders game, it would have been nice. But Chicago Bears at home, I feel like I said, against the Panthers, it should be a big signature win for them, and I just need them to win the game, obviously. A touchdown from the Patriots, man. If they get blown out by a Tyler Huntley Dolphins, the Patriots,
so bad.
that'd be insane. So I'm getting a full touchdown out of it. So I like that one. And I don't think the Broncos can blow anyone out. I know the Raiders are a team that can lose any kind of game, any kind of way, but I'm getting a full touchdown. I think that they could win that game and get the 9th straight win against them. I like that a lot. And I didn't put Seahawks on here, but obviously you could probably throw that on here too. But I like to keep it to 3 teams. This is what I put my money on this week.
Yep. I like it. My parting shots are 2 things. One, I don't understand why more teams aren't doing this. I was talking to my buddies about this in the chat. Like, you saw how the Patriots won for so long. You know what I mean? Like, quarterback on a rookie deal, incentivize, push the money down. Brady take less, build a strong defense around him, manage the clock, manage the ball, and you can win. Why do you see the Chiefs doing the same thing, and it's working with Patrick Mahomes? Patrick Mahomes' contract is not a contract. He's a bank. Now, at some point, you're going to have to pay that bill down the line, but like, who cares if you have to fork out the money if you've got hardware? Why are more teams not doing this? Also, why are more teams not doing this, man? Why are you paying a wide receiver $30 million? Why do you think Jamar Chase is not paid? Why do you think the Bills let Stephon Diggs go? The Bills said, you know what, man? We have lost to Kansas City so many times, we're going to actually take a page out of their playbook. You can go. We'll replace you with 3 average guys. And guys, so far it's been working. And I love the Bills this week. They paid CeeDee Lamb. You think the Cowboys are winning anything anytime soon? You're crazy if you think that. They're not winning anything anytime soon. Guys, as long as there's a quarterback on your team making more than Patrick Mahomes, and as long as there's a wide receiver on your team making more than $30 million, you have 0 chance of ever winning a Super Bowl. And I will never back off that.
Should be a good week in the NFL. Can't wait. I can't wait. A lot of interesting matchups. So we'll have to see. Hopefully I can get a little teaser ticket winning streak going. I got 7 last year, so I'm hoping I can surpass that. So maybe I can get a little momentum going this week.
Just trying to have a week over 500, bro.
Crawl
before you can walk. World of Matches bringing the heat every Saturday, you guys. We appreciate the love. Like, subscribe, share the video. Don't mortgage your future on any of these bets, man. Being homeless sucks. We'll talk to you guys next week, and we're out.
See ya.